Yes, Yeshua, the one we call Jesus Christ, did have biological children. But to understand why this is largely hidden from mainstream history, we have to step out of religious dogma and into the multi-dimensional reality of who he truly was, what his soul came to do, and how systems of power reshaped his story.
Please tell me what the metaphorical truth of the crucifixion is. Please give me a breakdown.
Metaphorically, the crucifixion of Jesus, Yeshua, represents the inner death of the ego and the awakening of divine identity within each soul. Here's the breakdown. The cross as the inner battlefield. The cross symbolizes the point of tension between the human self and the divine self. The horizontal beam represents the pull of the world, ego, fear, survival, and external attachments. The vertical beam represents the soul's longing for truth, spirit, and transcendence. Where they meet the heart center is where the crucifixion takes place within us. It's where the false self dies and the true self is born. The death of the ego, Yeshua's death on the cross, mirrors what happens when a soul chooses spiritual awakening. We must surrender our need to control, our need to be seen and approved, our illusions of separateness, our fear of suffering. The crucifixion is the ultimate metaphor for that moment when the ego resists, but the soul says, "Nevertheless, thy will be done." The wounds as initiation. Every wound Yeshua experienced mirrors the spiritual wounds humans carry. The crown of thorns, mental torment, overthinking, shame. The pierced side, betrayal, heartbreak, vulnerability. The nails equals being bound by the material world, karma, limitation. Each wound becomes an initiation point. Through pain, the soul awakens compassion and clarity. Resurrection, the emergence of the higher self. The resurrection is the metaphor for rebirth after surrender. Once the ego dies, the soul rises. Once the illusion breaks, truth emerges. Once we stop clinging, the divine flows in. The metaphor of resurrection is a promise. When you surrender what is false, what is eternal will rise. The cosmic invitation. So the crucifixion isn't about punishment. It's a map, a sacred metaphor for transformation. You will be betrayed by parts of yourself. You will be wounded by your illusions. You will be asked to surrender what no longer serves. And then, if you let go, you will rise. That is the true teaching of the cross. It is not about worship.
According to the Akashic records, what is the metaphysical truth of Jesus being crucified on the cross? Can you please give us a breakdown?
According to the Akashic records, the crucifixion of Jesus, Yeshua, was not simply a historical execution. It was a multidimensional act of energetic transmutation, collective karmic activation, and symbolic ascension coding encoded into the Earth's morphogenetic field. Here's the full metaphysical breakdown. The cross is a cosmic symbol. The cross predates Christianity and represents the intersection of spirit and matter, heaven and earth, vertical and horizontal timelines. Yeshua's crucifixion on the cross symbolized his role as the bridge between these dimensions. He was not just nailed to a tree, he was anchoring a frequency of unconditional love and divine remembrance into the collective human grid. Open quote, the vertical beam represents the soul's connection to source. The horizontal beam represents the soul's connection to humanity and earth. Yeshua at the center becomes the living gateway. Close quote. The crucifixion as karmic activation. At a soul level, Yeshua agreed to be crucified not to suffer for humanity's sins, but to mirror humanity's collective wound. The fear of death, the rejection of divinity, and the illusion of separation. In witnessing a divine being crucified, humanity was forced to confront its deep wounding around power and control, its projections onto sacred beings, its capacity for both betrayal and redemption. This event created a massive karmic imprint, but also the possibility of awakening. It triggered a deep questioning that would echo through generations. DNA and light body activation, and Yeshua's body was highly evolved, carrying Christ consciousness codes. His crucifixion and resurrection were part of a higher spiritual technology, a public ascension ritual that embedded divine potential into the collective morphic field. After his resurrection, those who were attuned could now activate their 12-strand DNA, their light bodies, and their ability to commune with Source directly. He didn't just die and rise, he left a frequency trail for others to follow. Metaphysical meaning of the blood. In ancient metaphysics, blood is a carrier of soul codes and memory. When Yeshua's blood touched the earth, it symbolized the seeding of divine consciousness into the planetary body. It wasn't about blood sacrifice, it was soul offering. Open quote, his blood didn't cleanse sin, it awakened remembrance. Close quote. Resurrection, the true miracle. The resurrection was not to prove power over death, but to disprove the illusion of death. He returned in light body form to show that the soul is eternal, that death is a veil, and that ascension is possible through love. His message wasn't worship me, it was you can do this too. Follow the inner Christ. Final insight. So from the Akashic Records view, the crucifixion wasn't about punishment or sin. It was a cosmic initiation encoded into time to awaken humanity's divine blueprint. It marked the end of the age of separation and the beginning of the return to unity consciousness.
According to the Akashic Records, did Jesus Christ, Yeshua, have any biological children? And if so, what happened to them and why don't we know about them? Please give us a breakdown.
According to the Akashic Records, yes, Yeshua, the one we call Jesus Christ, did have biological children. But to understand why this is largely hidden from mainstream history, we have to step out of religious dogma and into the multi-dimensional reality of who he truly was, what his soul came to do, and how systems of power reshaped his story. The bloodline of Yeshua. Yeshua was not only a spiritual avatar, he was also deeply human. He walked with divine memory and earthly purpose. Part of that purpose was to anchor a sacred bloodline that would carry high-frequency DNA codes into future generations, not for royalty or elitism, but for planetary awakening. According to the records, he and Mary Magdalene were divine counterparts, twin flames in full spiritual union. Their bond was not just symbolic, it was physical, emotional, and deeply alchemical. They conceived children together, at least one daughter, and in some timelines a son as well. These children carried what's sometimes called the Christ seed, or Grail lineage, a frequency embedded in their DNA that held a template for Christ consciousness on Earth. This wasn't about power or superiority. It was about seeding compassion, sovereignty, and divine remembrance into the collective human genome. Why don't we know about them? There are several layered reasons. One, political suppression after Yeshua's crucifixion and resurrection events. His movement was seen as a threat to Roman authority. As his teachings spread, early church leaders made strategic decisions about what to include and what to erase, to create a centralized religious structure. A Christ with children challenged their narrative of a celibate, divine-only being. It humanized him, and that, they feared, would make him less holy. Protection of the bloodline. In many timelines, Magdalene and the children fled, often to regions like southern France, Egypt, and even Britain, to keep the lineage safe. There were attempts to hunt and silence them. Their presence went underground, passed down through mystery schools, oral traditions, and encoded symbols like the Black Madonna, the Holy Grail, and the Rose. Number 3, spiritual forgetting. Over time, humanity entered a denser age, the Kali Yuga, the dark night of the soul. Memory of the divine feminine, sacred union, and multidimensional truth was veiled. What remained was the edited myth of Jesus, a sanitized story stripped of its divine romance and cosmic complexity. What happened to the children? Many of their descendants live today unaware of their connection. Some were initiated into mystical orders over centuries. Others blended into society. The point wasn't to create a royal bloodline, it was to activate the Christ code in the collective, slowly over generations. This is why so many people now, especially healers, mystics, and light workers, feel drawn to Yeshua and Magdalene's energy. They are remembering. You may be one of them. Final insight. So yes, according to the Akashic Records, Yeshua had children. But the story was hidden, not because it lacked truth, but because the truth was too powerful. It threatened systems built on hierarchy, control, and distortion. The real second coming isn't a man in the clouds, it's the awakening of Christ consciousness in all of us. The bloodline was never just physical, it was energetic. It lives in the heart, and it's rising now.
Real quick, family, I just released a new video of the quote channelings, and if you're not familiar with the quote channelings, these are messages literally from angels, Please just go check it out. I know it sounds wild. Check out my newest one. It's on artificial intelligence and spiritual democracy. Listen to the first 10 minutes, and if it catches you, keep listening. If not, it's all good. I also have a whole playlist of more quote channelings that I've read. Go check it out. Much love to y'all. Peace.